What's up everyone, NinjaNick333. We are here with another round of the European International Championships of the Pokemon trading card game. I believe this took place in London. We are seeing, it looks like a Miraidon deck here on the right versus some sort of Lost Box deck on the left. We're going to immediately bench a Miraidon that I don't know if he drew that for turn or if he used the fleet-footed to get it. But we are going to get that Miraidon down. That will allow us to check our deck for what our prize cards are, but also the tandem unit does allow you to get 2 basic lightning Pokemon and put them onto your bench. So that is a pretty powerful way to set up. In this deck, 1 Nest Ball can become a full bench of 5, should you choose to do it that way. So Miraidon likely gets another Miraidon plus a Regieleki, and then the second Miraidon gets 2 more Regieleki, or just 1 more, and then you Nest Ball for a Radiant Greninja. Something along those lines is usually your ideal setup. Do you think I saw the Radiant Greninja in deck? So hopefully we do have a way to search that out. So if we have too many lightning energies in hand, we can get some extra use out of that by discarding the energy to draw 2 more cards. So either he failed the second Miraidon or he's choosing not to use it yet. Looks like we are going to Ultra Ball. That will likely be for that Radiant Greninja. There's no reason why to play the Ultra Ball this turn if you have the Miraidon in play that still has not used his ability, unless you're specifically looking for a non-lightning type Pokemon. So that would be the Greninja. And yeah, Greninja is just such a great way to draw more cards. You usually play like 14 to 16 lightning energies in this deck. So that is quite a lot of food for the Greninja to discard. So yeah, we still see, even after that Ultra Ball discarded, I think, 2 lightning energy, we still have 2 more left. We are going to draw another lightning energy, attach it for a turn. We have a switch cart. Looks like we're just going to choose to pass here. I wouldn't have minded seeing the switch cart into the Greninja, so that then if the Cramorant attack did come out, it's hitting something sort of irrelevant like the Radiant Greninja, as opposed to how you wouldn't want to have half the damage to knock out your Raikou down on it on the first turn before you even have any chance to attack yourself. And of course, as Lost Box usually does, they have their turn 1 Chorus's Experiment. That'll get a couple of cards in the Lost Zone. A little unfortunate that we're going to have to get that that Mirage Gate in their turn 1. That's what you want to have when you have 7 cards in the Lost Zone, so you can power up your attackers. And it's looking like this is the Giratina version of Lost Box here, because we see that Giratina V in hand, and there was just a Grass and a Giratina V-Star drawn, so makes complete sense here. Gonna bench that Giratina V. That way maybe we can evolve it next turn. Gonna attach an energy, and I do see, I think there's Beach Court in, or is that Pokestop? No, that is Beach Court. So he could put down that Beach Court, retreat, and Abyss Seeking is really good here. Yeah, so that's exactly what's gonna happen. So Giratina is gonna use Abyss Seeking. That's kind of like a mini Chorus's Experiment. You look at the top 4, Lost Zone 2, and then keep 2. So you get 1 less card in your hand than Chorus's Experiment, but that's still a really good turn 1 attack for this deck, especially when you don't have the option to have any Comfey in play whatsoever. Looks like Robert is going immediately in with the Fleet-Footed to draw an extra card. Does get a Nest Ball. That's kind of a dead card right now. You might as well just play it just to thin it out of your hand. You could get another Regieleki V down. You could just use the Miraidon to get it out, but okay. I guess he's using the Miraidon to get it out now. He should have done that on the last turn. Then he'd be able to evolve double Regieleki this turn. Yeah, no reason not to do it the first turn. And now that he hasn't played the Nest Ball and used the ability, now that Nest Ball is stuck in his hand. So there's no way to thin that out. So if you go on to play something along the lines of a Judge or Roxanne, while that's still in your hand, it'll go back into the deck with the potential to be redrawn, even though you can't play it anymore because you have a full bench and 2 Miraidons. And the only Pokemon that your Miraidon can't get into play already in play. Looks like we are going to go with the Electric Generator, probably the most busted card in this deck besides the Miraidon EX. Allows you to look at the top 5 cards of your deck, put 2 basic Lightning Energy from in there onto your Pokemon on your bench in any way you like, your Lightning Pokemon on your bench. So that is used to power up the Miraidons and the Raikou. The Raikou could just attack this turn. If he had the Regieleki V on the bench the previous turn, not just the one, if he had both, and had a way to draw into 2 VMAXs this turn. Yeah, we do see an Ultra Ball, so that was a way to get one. But if he had 2 Regieleki VMAXs in play, there would be just enough Pokemon in play for the Raikou to still do 220, even though the opponent doesn't have a full bench. So yeah, I think that it was a mistake to not get that Regieleki the previous turn, but I mean, what are you going to do now? So we just see the Beach Court Retreat, since you have 1 retreat on all of the Pokemon in the Miraidon deck as well, so might as well just retreat into the Radiant Greninja that you do not mind getting knocked out, and pass it over to the opponent. You could have just done some chip damage with the Raikou, but then, you know, as long as Angelo is allowed to bench a Comfey and play Chorus's Experiment again, there is a world where that Raikou gets knocked out, so retreating into the Greninja is smart to make sure that your opponent only potentially takes 1 prize this turn, and even if they don't, you still have the Beach Court to retreat back into your Raikou next turn. Or a Miraidon if you can actually get an Electric Generator to go off. So we are seeing the Nest Ball, Angelo's first deck search of the game with this Nest Ball, so we are going to see him identify which cards are prized, definitely just checking really the energy, which is the most important thing to check. He does decide to go in with a second Giratina V. Still don't see any Comfey, which is a little concerning to me. So we might just see another Abyss Seeking this turn. Yeah, I would have liked to see the Nest Ball get a Comfey, because there are 2 switch card options in hand. So as long as you got like Chorus's Experiment off of one of the Comfeys, you would, and then the Mirage Gate off of that. Actually, he has Mirage Gate in hand already. So yeah, you would just have to get Chorus's Experiment off your 1 Comfey. And you would have gotten it. Well, I guess his deck was shuffled, so it would have been shuffled differently if he got the Comfey instead of the Giratina. But, you know, either way, looks like gets double Chorus off of that, so decides to Lost Zone 1. That's how you let your opponent know that you have a good card in your hand. Also puts down the Path to the Peak too, so the opponent is not able to retreat without attaching an energy, and the Greninja is shut off, and the Raikou is shut off, and the Miraidons are shut off, even though the bench is already full, so they're shut off anyway. But, yep, just has his own Beach Court in hand here from Robert, so just get to see that and see the retreat again. There is an additional Pokemon on the bench. Although that math doesn't matter, I think you still need the double Regieleki VMAX. Let's see, 120... Yeah, you're only doing 210 with 1 Regieleki VMAX. And nope, just still a dead hand. So this is the problem with Miraidon. If you hit an Electric Generator early, you can kind of steamroll. But this deck is super inconsistent sometimes. For a deck that can just, you know, put 5 Pokemon onto your bench off of 1 Nest Ball, it just has such a hard time getting set up, which is absolutely ridiculous. Just because the Miraidon takes 3 energy to attack is the big thing. And the Raikou is so based on your opponent's Pokemon in play. Yeah, so Robert hadn't found a way to find that second Regieleki VMAX yet, so he's like, I'm not even going to bother attacking. I'm just going to wait until I have the ability to get 2 of them in hand at the same time. Although he has double Ultra Ball in hand. So I think he should... Does he not have the energy? Oh yeah, he used the energy for concealed cards. So he had... Or no, he drew the second Ultra Ball off the concealed cards and now doesn't have an energy in hand. That's why he did that. Because if there was a world where you could get the double VMAXs in play, attach an energy, and attack and knock out the Giratina, you have to go for it. Getting the first attack in a matchup of 2 prize Pokemon hitting each other is pretty important. Especially since the Giratina deck also has the option of one prize Pokemon. So you could always see some funny Sableye shenanigans in the late game. We are using 2 Mirage Gates here. We're going to put a Psychic and a Water onto both of the Giratinas. And we can actually just see an attack of the Shred. I know it's a Shred-like attack, but I don't remember if it's actually... It is actually called Shred, okay. But yeah, we're going to see Shred do 160, go through all effects on your opponent's Pokemon. There aren't really any effects on it right now, so it doesn't matter. Concealed cards for good measure. We see the final Chorus's Experiment already in hand for next turn, which is kind of ridiculous. And it looks like a Temple of Sinnoh too. I might just play that. That's fine. It doesn't hurt your opponent at all, but it does get rid of the Beach Court, so they don't have free retreat. So, you know, maybe they have a harder time pivoting around if they want to keep their attacker on the bench. But a Regieleki VMAX does have free retreat. It is the fastest Pokemon in the video game, so... We do see an evolution to the bench. I like that we're not evolving the active yet. It does make it so it has less HP, but now you don't have to Lost Zone the energy. At this point, you might as well just let the 2 prizes go, just to make it so you don't have to Lost Zone energy. But then at the same time, if you evolve, you're not going to get knocked out, potentially. So if you have another Mirage Gate, you could attack again. Or you would be able to get to... Actually, yeah, I don't like the evolution. I don't like not going for the evolution on the active, because he does have another one in hand, I saw. He could have Lost Zoned 2 cards from his... he could have done, what's it? Both the Water Energies would have been fine here. And then the next turn you would have 10 exactly in the Lost Zone and be able to use your V-Star power to take a knockout as well. And then you just need 1 more energy to potentially win the game. So yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. Although he was knocking out a 1-prizer. Yeah, it just feels bad. Yeah, I guess not. Yeah, just do the Shred there. You want to save your V-Star power for a Lecky VMAX, especially since you just had to go through a 1-prizer. Because you can't... He had to play Chorus that turn, so he couldn't play a boss's orders. So we do finally see the Ultra Ball to get the VMAX, and then uses Fleet-Footed. Again, Fleet-Footed first would have been better, because then that gave you the option to draw a VMAX, and then you could just Ultra Ball for the other one, and not have to play 2 Ultra Balls. Let's see, 120, 140, 8, 9, 10. Yep, you still need 2 VMAXs. That now is our way to get rid of the Nest Ball in our hand. We could have done that earlier, but we're going to do it now. So Ultra Ball for the other VMAX, evolve both of them, attach an energy, and then take the knockout. And hopefully off your prize cards you get a supporter, because I don't think Robert's played a single supporter all game. Yeah, no, he hasn't. I just looked at that discard pile. There are no supporters in there whatsoever. Yep, so double evolve here. We attached for turn. Now we hit for a little over enough. So that was 210. 230 we just hit. Takes 2 prize cards, at least one of which was upside down. Now we're going to have to set up one more Giratina. Yeah, so now that Giratina V-Star that's in hand can't really do much of anything. We're going to see the Lost Vacuum getting rid of our own stadium to put us at 10 cards in the Lost Zone. Now, I think he does have the boss's orders from a previous turn. You could use that on the VMAX. make it so it's a lot harder for your opponent to reach for the KO on your Giratina. So yeah, I like going for that. We are going to take 3 prize cards, and then you can win off of this Giratina not getting knocked out on this turn. So yeah, there's no world where the Giratina V-Star gets one-shot this turn. So Angelo wins on the next turn. The only way he would potentially not win on the next turn is if the Regieleki VMAX is promoted to buy a turn to get another Regieleki V down. Yeah, I think what you would want to do here is bench another Regieleki V, attach an energy to it, get the Beach Court, retreat into the Regieleki V, do the hit for 30 switch, go into the VMAX. Hope that your opponent doesn't play Choice Belt to take the one shot on your VMAX that's active, or have a boss's orders to bring up any of your other 2 prize Pokemon, and then try to go for the one shot on the next turn. But even still, if you do that, Angelo can just like hit with a 1 prize Pokemon like the Cramorant for a turn. So, yeah. Unless Robert plays like Echoing Horn. Oh, gets boss's orders. There's the switch cart, so that's the way to switch, but I did not see... Yeah, no. Yeah, I don't see the... I need Regieleki V. Nope, no Regieleki V. We got a VMAX. You can use Miraidon to get the Regieleki V. Then retreat into it. Yeah, I'm not sure what Robert's doing here. Although he is hitting some energies finally on his energy. Oh, he's going in with the attack with the VMAX. Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's just as good as that other plan that I said. Yeah, you just have to hope your opponent doesn't have another boss or a Choice Belt. Yeah, so the Regieleki VMAX has the same attack, essentially, as the Miraidon, 220, and you can't attack next turn. The only thing with... oh, yeah, we see a boss's orders immediately. But yeah, that's all that Robert could do at that situation, so... Giratina ends up taking game 1 pretty easily, I may add. It's just consistency problems with the Miraidon deck. Even though we never saw a single flower selecting, Giratina won anyway, because Abyss Seeking is just that good. So, let's see if I can just skip ahead to the next game, because I would oh yeah, especially since they're pile shuffling. Alright, so yeah, it does have a Miraidon in hand. So we will see some good setup here. 3 lightning energy prize. That's going to make those electric generators harder to hit, especially since there's an electric generator in the prize cards. Miraidon's going to go first for a second game in a row. And hopefully this does go a lot better for him. And Angelo, not needing a Comfey game 1, starts at game 2. So that's a lot scarier for Robert. We might actually see the Cramorant attack turn 1 this game, as long as there's a Chorus's Experiment in hand. These Lost Box decks don't naturally mind going second, necessarily. You would prefer to go first, especially since you have Giratina, so you'd like to be able to evolve it into the V-Star turn 2. But still fine, because you could still attack with Cramorant, or just, like, you know, let a turn go by, let one of your Comfey get knocked out, and then you can always hit for 280. Pretty powerful attack. So we do see the Miraidons coming in. We get one Miraidon gets Miraidon Regieleki. The other Miraidon gets just Raikou, leaving bench room for the Radiant Greninja yet again. The only question is it in deck, and is there a way to get it? I would assume yes to both of those, just because Robert didn't go for the Pokemon. But, no, doesn't... Yeah, if you don't have a way to get the Greninja, I would just go for an extra Regieleki V, personally. Especially with that many supporters in hand, you have 2 Serenas. You have supporters for the next 2 turns. You don't necessarily need Greninja. Alright, looks like he's going to pass here with the Regieleki V active. That can soak up damage for your attackers. This game he's going to try not to attack with a VMAX, I'm sure. But that could leave room for an easier KO on one of them later in the game, where we could always see the Giratina knock out one of them with the 280 attack and then use the V-Star power on the second one and then win the game over the course of 2 turns like that. Again, checking which energies are prized or not, because it's really important that you know which energies are safe or not safe to put in the Lost Zone. Also, important to note, this deck search is a Battle VIP Pass, the card you can only play turn 1, but gets you 2 benched Pokemon. And we do have the Chorus's Experiment in hand, along with at least a switch, so we may see the Cramorant attack this turn. We're going to go for a second Comfey and a Giratina. Love to see it. Yeah, I think you do want the Giratina down now, so that your opponent only has 1 turn to knock it out while it has 220 HP, and then evolve it the turn after that. We also have a Lost Vacuum if we draw into a Tool or Stadium. This deck might be playing something like Forest Seal Stone, but then you can't use your V-Star power on your Giratina, so that would feel kind of bad. Looks like we're going to not go for the Cramorant this turn. Opting to keep all the other cards. I mean, again, that's fine. You don't necessarily have to attack the Regieleki V this turn. Going to get rid of a Switch Cart to keep the Path. That will shut off all the Regieleki VMAX's abilities as well, which will make it so the damage output from these Lightning Pokemon is a lot lower. Capping out at 220 for each and every one of the Pokemon. Use our second Flower Selecting here. We get another Battle VIP Pass and an Escape Rope. So you could actually loss on the Escape Rope, use the Battle VIP Pass here, and you could either go in for more Comfeys, you could get the Greninja, or you could even get the Cramorant, switch in and attack with it. But it looks like we're going to go for a second Giratina V and a Radiant Greninja. So as I said just a second ago, you want to get those Giratinas down now so that your opponent has the least opportunity to knock it out while it has 220 HP. In this matchup, beef it up to 280 on the next turn. So getting those down... Oh, and there is a Cramorant in hand. I didn't even see that. So we still could go for the attack with the Cramorant as well if we want to. Yeah, so we have quite literally everything we could have asked for this turn 1. 4 cards in the Lost Zone, 2 Giratinas on the bench, 2 Comfeys, a Radiant Greninja, and the Cram attack. Like, oh boy. With a path to the peak to boot. Now the question is, do you save the path? Or do you put it down now? And he just passes. Yeah, he had the attack with the Cramorant, but then just chose not to do it, which is a little weird to me. Because as I said before, if you can soften up a Regieleki V that becomes a VMAX, and then you can boss knock it out with the 280 attack with the Giratina V-Star, then at any point you could boss again, knock out the other Regieleki VMAX with the V-Star power, and then just win the game off of 2 knockouts. We're going to see the Switch Cart here from Robert is going to go in with the Fleet-Footed, which is now possible because the Path to the Peak was saved for a future turn instead of being put down. And we see one energy, just one energy off of the energy generator, electric generator. So that is going to go to the Miraidon that's on the bench. We will still need one more energy in order to attack with it this turn. And do you even really want to attack with it? Because you are going to be going into a Comfey that way. And this is a matchup where I would really like playing Klefki in the Miraidon deck. I don't see a lot of people doing it, and I don't quite understand why. I play 3 Klefki in my Miraidon deck. You can have one in the active, one on bench, and then every single turn you can retreat into your Regieleki V with 2 Regieleki VMAXs on the bench. You free retreat with the Beach Court into the Regieleki V. You hit for 90, knock out the Comfey, and then retreat back to the bench, putting the Klefki back up, making it so your opponent can never use Comfey. And if they escape rope, you still have the second one on bench, so you just swap those out. And it gives you all the turns that you need in the world in order to find and hit your electric generators and find supporters and all of that before the Giratinas even get going. It like forces them into a position where they have to use Abyss Seeking, and then on the next turn you can just not evolve your Regieleki V that you were hitting with into a Regieleki V Max, and then one-shot it for 220. So that would make this matchup from like unfavored to highly favored. Yeah, I would refuse to play Miraidon in any capacity without Klefkis. It looks like we are using Miraidon's tandem unit yet again to get another Pokemon onto the bench. It's that Regieleki V that I thought we should have had already. He says, hey, I know that we're not going to go for Greninja this game, so might as well. And then just a pass here, too. Yeah, so if that turn for Robert played out the same way as Angelo's the last turn, and Angelo hit with the Cramorant, this turn he could just boss the Regieleki back up and hit it a second time for a knockout with the Cram without having to do anything else. And get just, like, ultra value. It is better to, like, you know, play the Colress's Experiment and everything here. But it is an option. If you get into, like, Escape Rope, you could always, you know, potentially make them put it back up if they're dumb enough to put up their damaged Pokemon back up. So we have 6 cards in the Lost Zone. Only need one more to Mirage Gate. I don't know if I see a Mirage Gate in his hand right now, but it is getting pretty big. Using concealed cards to draw 2 more cards. There's a Mirage Gate and another Colress for next turn. Angelo is not having any problem finding Colress's Experiment during this entire match. Looks like we are going to Lost Zone the Psychic Energy. That will make it so there are now 2 Mirage Gates in hand. I think there is 1 V-Star as well, so you can evolve one of these 2. If you're not going to attack with one this turn, I would say don't evolve either. That way you don't necessarily potentially lose one. And then have to find another V-Star to put in your hand. But it looks like we do have the resources to attack this turn. So we are going to use our first Mirage Gate onto one of the Giratina, get a Grass and a Psychic. We just need 1 colorless in order to fully fulfill the attack cost here. So we are going to go in with second Mirage Gate. Put Psychic and Grass onto the second Giratina. So he shuffles his deck here and then looks through it again. You finished your search once you start shuffling, so technically that's illegal. Should have received some penalty for that, because he just looked through his deck for no reason. We are going to go in, switching into another Comfey, using Flower Selecting Layout again. That'll put us at 8 in the Lost Zone. Perfectly fine. Again, not having any trouble finding these Colossus experiments, which is wild. And does get the second V-Star. So we do attach a Psychic for a turn. We have a switch. We have double V-Star. And yeah, we are going to... Oh, and we even have the Path for good measure. Yeah, so Path, switch into Giratina, and then Lost Impact for 280, one-shotting this Raikou V. Now, what do you want to Lost Zone here? I would almost argue... You can Lost Zone one of the energy on your active, and then maybe one of the energy on your benched Pokemon. Yeah, probably the Grass, because you did Lost Zone a Psychic already this turn, off of that Flower Selecting. Or I think he did off of Flower Selecting, or maybe it was earlier in the game. I'm already losing track. And that puts him up to 10 cards in the Lost Zone, so that does make it so Star Requiem, the V-Star power from Giratina, is able to go off at any point. And we definitely have the energy to do that attack now. And if we can find another Mirage Gate, we can still use the first attack for another turn in a row and leave both Giratinas with enough energy to be able to Star Requiem the next turn. So even if one gets knocked out, it won't matter. I think at this point, it's looking really favored for Angelo. I think Robert... I mean, it would be nice to be able to attack with Regieleki VMAX and get the boosts from the Transistor of the Regieleki VMAXs, but unfortunately, the boost only goes to basic Pokemon, so it's going to force Robert here to attack with that Miraidon that has the 2 energy on it, and that is an easy knockout for either of those 2 Giratinas. But of course, even if you were attacking with the V-Star, the VMAX, that would just allow your opponent to V-Star and knock that out for an additional prize card anyway. So no matter how you look at it, like I always like to use the chess analogy, we're kind of in check already, even though we're only a couple of turns into the game. I'm not really sure what Robert does, since there's 2 Giratinas powered up right now with a Path to the Peak in play. He's going to need the Beach Court at a minimum here, and then get a one-shot with the Miraidon. So Miraidon needs to... Yeah, so it needs 2 Regieleki VMAX, which are both in hand now, or in play now. But yeah, we needed to see the out to Path to the Peak. So Angelo... saving that Path to the Peak for the exact turn where he got the most value out of it is pretty powerful. We are going to see the Nest Ball. That could get us the Radiant Greninja if that's still in deck. However, the Path to the Peak shuts that off as well. So that would allow you to dig extra cards to get that stadium you need. But of course, since its ability is shut off, you can't use it anyway. We could just see another Regieleki V come down this turn. Retreat into one of the Regieleki Vs and then just let it die. Make your opponent have like a boss's orders for the Miraidon with energy. Or you could just retreat into the Greninja, let them take 1 prize, but again, as long as they can save their V-Star power for a Regieleki VMAX, that you'll still lose the game no matter what. So again, this is a very much a check position. What we need to do is get the one-shot this turn to remove the one that has 2 energy, and we did see Angelo only had 1 grass energy left in deck, so that would mean he could V-Star this turn, so you would have to V-Star the Miraidon that attacked, and then be forced to find Energy Recycler by the next turn in order to get any energies that are left in the discard pile. Oh, but we do have another energy in hand. Actually, 2 water energies in hand. Those must have been taken off the prize cards because I don't remember seeing those. And it looks like... Alright, so... I'm not sure how I feel about the attachment of the water to the active. If you're going to boss's orders the Regieleki VMAX and knock it out with Star Requiem, you could have attached that water to the bench. so that then you can still Lost Impact as soon as you can find the grass energy if your opponent does one-shot your active. There is still another Regieleki V on the bench that could become a VMAX. And it looks like Robert looks through his deck with the tandem unit to see if there's still a way to win the game in there, and there is not. So he does pass the... He just concedes. I guess the other Regieleki VMAX must have been prized or something, because we only saw 2 so far. Most of these decks play 4, or at least 3 at the very least. But as always, guys, do not forget to comment, like, and subscribe. It's really important for that YouTube algorithm to make sure this video gets pushed out to all of the people who want to see it. And we will see you guys next time for round... What are we on? Whatever the next round is. They usually skip the first 3 rounds every day.